This happened to me last month and I still get the shakes thinking about it. I don't usually shop at Walmart that late, but I needed to grab some stuff for work the next day. Nothing special, really. Just some pens and a new notebook, since my old one was all filled up. It was around 9 p.m. when I finally checked out. The store was pretty empty by then. Just a few workers restocking shelves and maybe like 3 other customers. I remember the cashier looked super tired. She kept yawning while scanning my items. Can't blame her though. Working that late must suck. I pushed my cart out to the parking lot and immediately wished I'd parked closer. The lot was huge and mostly empty now. My car was way in the back corner where I'd found a spot earlier. The lights in that section weren't as bright as near the entrance. Some weren't even working at all. While walking to my car, I kept getting this weird feeling. You know when the hair on your neck stands up for no reason? Like that. I told myself I was being stupid. Nothing to worry about. That's when I noticed this white van. It wasn't there when I parked. Now it was sitting right next to my car. Super close to my driver's side door. Like, unnaturally close. Who parks like that in an empty lot? I slowed down a bit. Something felt wrong. Really wrong. I started paying more attention to my surroundings. That's when I saw a slight movement between my car and the van. It was dark, but I could make out a person crouching there, like they were waiting for someone. My heart started beating really fast. I still had my keys in my hand from digging them out earlier, so I quickly pushed them between my fingers like I'd seen in some self-defense video. I didn't even think twice, just abandoned my cart right there and turned around. Started walking fast back to the store entrance. Didn't run because I didn't want to draw attention, but I was moving quick. In the reflection of a parked car window, I saw 2 guys get out of the van. They looked angry. One of them said something to the other and pointed at me. They both stood. They're watching me as I got closer to the bright lights of the entrance. The security guy at the door must have noticed something was wrong. He asked if I was okay. I told him what happened, feeling kinda stupid at first, like maybe I was overreacting. But he took it seriously. He called the manager, and they pulled up the security footage right away. The van had circled the lot 3 times before parking next to my car. 3 times. Like they were hunting for someone. The store called the police, who showed up pretty fast. They got the license plate from the footage. The officer told me to sit in the break room while they checked things out, but the van was already gone. 2 days later, a detective called me. They'd caught the guys. Turns out they'd done this before in other towns nearby. They'd box in women's cars so they'd have to talk to them, then force them into the van. The detective said I was lucky I trusted my gut. I still shop at Walmart sometimes, but never at night. And I always park right under the brightest lights, close to the entrance. My boyfriend thinks I'm being paranoid, but he wasn't there. He didn't see that guy hiding, waiting for me. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't noticed something was off. The detective said I was just minutes away from becoming another statistic. That thought keeps me up at night. I never thought I'd be sharing this story. I've worked at Walmart for almost 6 months on the overnight shift, and it's usually just boring stuff like stocking shelves and dealing with the occasional drunk customer. But what happened last month still gives me the creeps when I think about it. My name's Brexley, and I mostly work in the home goods section. The store gets real quiet around 2 a.m. Just us employees and maybe a few random shoppers picking up weird stuff at weird hours. I was putting out some new towels when I first noticed him. He was just standing there in housewares, not really looking at products, just watching. I remember I dropped a price tag and bent to pick it up, and when I stood back up, he had moved closer but was pretending to look at kitchen gadgets. Something felt really wrong about him. He wasn't shopping. He was watching us. I tried to ignore it, but my skin kept getting all prickly, like when you feel someone staring at you. My break came at 3 a.m., and I mentioned the weird guy to my supervisor, Donnie. He just laughed and said, "Probably just some insomniac with nothing better to do." I wish he'd taken me more serious. When I got back to my aisle, something made my stomach drop. The display of cooking utensils I'd just organized was all messed up, but not in a random way. The spatulas and serving spoons had been arranged in a pattern, like an arrow pointing toward the employee break room. I fixed them quick, hands shaking a little. That's when I caught a glimpse of something in the mirror display across the aisle. It was him, hiding behind a stand of clearance items, pointing his phone at me, taking pictures. I walked straight to security, trying not to run or look scared. Ray, the night guard, checked the cameras right away. What we saw made me feel sick. The same guy had been coming in almost every night for the past 3 weeks, always during my shifts. The footage showed him following different female employees around, mostly me. He'd write stuff in a little notebook after watching us. Sometimes he'd rearrange items we'd just stocked, and the camera caught him taking close-up photos when we weren't looking. The police came pretty fast. They found his car in the parking lot and searched it. Inside was a notebook with all our schedules written down, what cars we drove, and even some of our home addresses. Mine was circled with red ink. There were hundreds of photos of us, mostly close-ups of hands, necks, and hair. The cops told us later he'd just gotten out of prison 3 months ago. He'd done time for stalking and kidnapping a woman from her workplace. They found rope, duct tape, and a knife under his seat. I quit the next day. Couldn't handle being in that store anymore. Sometimes I still check my rearview mirror, extra careful when driving home. I keep my curtains closed all the time now, and I never ever work night shifts anymore. The worst part? The police said if I hadn't noticed him that night, they might not have caught him until it was too late. Sometimes I think about all those nights I worked alone, never knowing he was watching me from between the aisles, planning whatever horrible thing he had in mind. This happened to me about 3 months ago, and I still get freaked out thinking about it. I don't usually share personal stuff online, but I need to get this off my chest. I was shopping at Walmart with my 8-year-old daughter on a Tuesday afternoon. We were just picking up some groceries and school supplies, nothing special. The store wasn't super crowded, which was nice for once. My daughter suddenly told me she needed to use the bathroom. You know how kids are. When they gotta go right away. So I walked her over to the restrooms at the back of the store. When we got there, there was this "closed for cleaning" sign on the women's restroom door. I checked my watch. It was almost 5 p.m., and I still needed to get dinner started when we got home. I noticed the family restroom was empty. "Just use the family bathroom," I told my daughter. "I'll wait right outside." She went in and locked the door. I stood there scrolling through my phone, checking my grocery list. After about 5 minutes, I thought it was taking kinda long. "Hey, sweetie, you okay in there?" I called out. No answer. I knocked on the door. "Honey?" Still nothing. My heart started beating faster. I knocked harder. "Can you hear me? Open the door." The silence was making me panic. I tried the handle, but it was locked from inside. I started banging on the door and yelling her name. A worker walking by noticed me freaking out. He was this older guy with a name tag that said Dave. "Something wrong, ma'am?" he asked. "My daughter's in there and she's not answering." My voice was shaking at this point. Dave called someone on his walkie-talkie, and this manager lady came over with keys. She tried opening the door, but the lock was jammed or something. "Stand back," Dave said. He and another guy who worked there pushed hard against the door until it finally gave way. My daughter was standing frozen in the corner of the bathroom. Her face was so pale, and her eyes were wide open like she'd seen a ghost. She wasn't crying or screaming, just standing there, completely terrified. I ran to her and hugged her tight. "What happened? Are you okay?" She pointed up without saying anything. That's when I noticed it. One of the ceiling tiles was pushed aside a little bit, and in that dark space above the ceiling, I could see something small and shiny. A camera lens. The manager saw it too, and immediately called security. They blocked off the bathroom and told us to wait outside while they investigated. Security found that someone had been getting into the bathroom through the drop ceiling from some maintenance room next door. They had been putting cameras in not just the family bathroom, but in the women's restroom too. The worst part? The footage was being sold online. They later told us it was an employee who had been working there for years. Someone everyone trusted. He knew exactly when the bathrooms were being cleaned and when to place the cameras. My daughter still has nightmares. She refuses to use any public bathroom now. I have to plan our shopping trips around being able to get home quickly if she needs to go. The most disturbing thing was finding out that so many people had no idea they were being recorded in such a private moment. Regular people just trying to use the bathroom at Walmart, you know? Sometimes I think about all the times I've used public restrooms in the past, and it makes my skin crawl. You never know who might be watching. I used to think I was paranoid for checking under toilet stalls and looking for weird holes in walls. Now I know I wasn't paranoid enough. They arrested the guy, but I don't think I'll ever feel safe in a public restroom again. And neither will my daughter.